Hi guys, this is Andy from Populous Training Systems and this is part 2 of the strength camp for MMA fighters.
Light work, 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 shining bright enough to make your eyes hurt. Staring at the sun, get a glimpse of how I work, sublime with the delivery.
In the second part, we're looking at 2 key things that we need to take into consideration when planning our program for our fighters. The first thing that you need to take into consideration is what the fighter is already doing. Okay, so we're going to look at the training week for the fighter that I've already got, how many times per week did they train, what days they put into place for recovery, the intensities of each workout that they do. All these need to be taken into consideration before we start adding more stress through strength and conditioning work. As a strength and conditioning coach, one thing that I've had to accept quite early is that in terms of an MMA fighter's full program, the strength and conditioning work they do with me is kind of last in the pecking order. All of their specific work that they do is aiming to make them a better fighter. So the stuff that they're doing with me is trying to improve power output and overall general strength. Also, they need to be able to recreate that time and time again for the demands of their sport. So although that is quite important, the actual skill that they need to learn of how to fight is way more important than the stuff that I do. So I can train people to be stronger and to perform better, but if those guys don't know how to fight, they're not going to be very good fighters. So that's what makes the stuff that we do have to fit around what they do already, rather than the other way around. So after we've done the assessment that we've talked about in part 1, we get a really good starting point and a good idea of where this athlete is at this current moment. And when we start to make these choices for the exercise that we're going to choose for that program, we need to look at what kind of demands there are from that sport. So what movements play big parts in their sport. So common movements in MMA fighters include things such as a jump or a lunge forward, where to show like explosive power, a grab, whether get into a clinch, or whether going to be like ground and pound, or getting onto the floor and going to looking for kind of locks. So as a coach, what I'm doing is I'm looking for common movements in MMA. So what are the kind of movements that an MMA fighter will do, will reproduce and repeat most often during a fight. So the ones that I look at, or the ones that I notice, are hip dominant moves, whether that be like a bridge, or whether it be generating power through the hips to explode forward, or to a lunge, or for a strike. So we're looking at grip strength, when we get into a grapple, or wrestling techniques, where we have to hold on to someone, whether it be a leg lock, or whether we try to find into a leg lock, or we try to manoeuvre on the floor. So we're looking at things like isometric strength as well. So basically what I'm doing is looking through their old fights, if I've got any on film, or if I haven't got any on film, what I'll do now, I'll just have that chat with the athlete with themselves, just to see what they kind of feel that they need to improve on. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just looking at common movements in that sport and seeing how we can improve on that. When it comes to exercise selection, the common ones that I usually tend to go for, which kind of which have a balance of a great carryover, but also quite easy to coach, to limit that time spent in the gym with me, like we talked about before, because obviously less time in the gym with me, more time to recover and spend on other stuff, still by getting good quality work inside this gym. So the exercises that I tend to go around, or the kind of movements that I go for, that I feel have the best carryover, also balanced with a good recovery time, are a hip thrust in any variation, doesn't have to necessarily be a barbell hip thrust, row variations, whether it be barbell, dumbbell, vertical rows, horizontal rows, all different kind of row variations depending on the athlete. We'll look at eccentric movements, so when we're slowing down the lowering part, so for instance say we say a chin up, so we're looking at holding at the top, slowly lowering down, that's an example of a slow eccentric movement. Great carryover into the sport. Trap bar deadlifts with the raised handles, simply because very easy to coach. It's less taxing and less demanding than a straight barbell deadlift. Deadlifts do take a long time to recover from, especially if we're going into the high percentages, so like 80-90% of the lifter's 1 rep max. So rather than test anything like that, we do some kind of variation. Trap bar is a great carryover, I really do like a trap bar. and then we're working on upper back, so we do tons of pull aparts. So banded pull aparts is a big staple in my programming. The reason that we include quite a lot of pull aparts in the programming is because when we're working those upper back muscles, including like rotator cuff, looking at small muscle groups, which usually take a lot of wear and tear, especially in fighters. We're looking at trying to strengthen those muscles but without using a hell of a lot of weight. Banded pull aparts just lets you get in that really high volume and gives you pretty quick, quite a short amount of time. Banded pull aparts and banded face pulls, all different kind of band variations, they allow you to go quite high volume but also recover quickly as well. So that's the general idea of how I go about choosing exercises for my fighters. The assessment will actually individualise what I choose to try and get the most from that. This is why cookie cutter programs and buying templates of fights for MMA guys or strength work for MMA guys, it doesn't necessarily work out all the time, because what you're doing is you're buying a template that's kind of general. When we're looking at individualised programming, it needs to be a lot more specific, so it's a little tailored to that athlete. So that's part 2 over with, guys. Thanks for watching again. Hope you liked the first couple of series up to now. Join us for our next one in part 3, where we're going to be looking at how we gauge intensity in the program. So it's a balancing act between causing enough intensity to cause adaptation and not causing too much, where we start burning out the athlete when it starts impacting on other aspects of their training. As always, guys, if you like it, please like the video. If you think it'll benefit other people, feel free to share it. I'll be really grateful. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.